There's also what I would call a missionary problem. And by that, I would say, by that, I would say that we have a tendency, not everybody, but there is a tendency that we expect, maybe not in theory, but in practice, the not yet Christ follower to take on the role of a missionary opposed to the Christ follower taking on the role of a missionary. And by that, I mean, if you were to take this little graph and each number represents a cultural barrier of communicating the gospel effectively. We would say the church is here at 0. This is where we completely understand the gospel. We understand the terms. We understand the language. We understand the history. We understand the ethics. We understand all of that. We know the core values. We know the culture of the faith community, that kind of stuff. What would we, if we were to drop in, I don't know, overseas somewhere, what would be the first cultural barrier for effectively communicating the gospel? Language. Absolutely. Language, cultural barrier. What would be another cultural barrier if we were to drop in somewhere else? Dress, absolutely. That's great. Customs. Yeah. What else? History. Absolutely. Okay. Anything else? Existing beliefs, absolutely. I like it. What else? Your thoughts? What? What's that? Morality. Probably view of truth, what truth is, and all that kind of stuff. That goes along with that, I think. Yeah. Culture, of course. Religion. What kind of religion they are, what kind of religion they grew up with. So yeah, let me move this so you guys can see. Sorry about that. So there are plenty of kind of really cultural barriers that keep us, if we were to drop in overseas, from kind of really communicating the gospel effectively. So what is the role of a missionary? What does a missionary do when he moves into a community? He learns the language. What else does he do then? Starts dressing like them. What's that? You don't want to offend them. So you want to learn their customs, their history. What else would a missionary do? Assume the rhythm of life. So, what? Culture? Yeah, absolutely. Culture. Yeah, rhythm. What else? Get to know them. Probably build friendships. They don't know anybody. So that's great. Good job. Yeah, great. They'd build friendships. What else would they do if they dropped in? Learn the language, start dressing like them. Understand their ethics. Absolutely. Their culture, their morality, their ethics. Yeah. The folks that are kind of 0 to 1 are the folks that probably have the most understanding view to some degree of church. They understand the values. They understand it. They grew up in it at some point. They know it. In America, the church is really only going to effectively be able to reach the people that fall within the 0 to 1 range. where their culture is so similar to those within the faith community. But we expect the folks that are culturally different than us to make the cultural jumps into the faith community, to take on the role of a missionary. That's where kind of the term attractional has come from. It is to attract those outside of the walls of the church to become within the church. We would say that this is a missionary problem because the goal or the role of the church is to be a missionary church, to be the ones to make the cultural barriers, or to jump the cultural barriers, to get to know folks where they're at. And even if we effectively took somebody that's a number 4, got them into the church, got them used to our customs, got them to sing our songs and take part in our rhythms and do all that kind of stuff, what we have done then is we have completely cut off any effective ability to have meaningful and significant relationship with those out here at the number 4 area. We have taken them out, we have extracted them, and maybe even a better term, conformed them to look like us, and kept them here. And now any potential possibility of building relationships with these groups of people, knowing them, having relationship with them, and effectively communicating the gospel with them has been cut off.